New threats overnight after the U.S. announced that historic $345 million aid package for Taiwan. Want to bring in ABC's Britt Clennett in Hong Kong. And Britt, how is China reacting to that landmark aid package?
Yeah, Lindsay, China tonight with a clear message to the United States that its $345 million military aid package to Taiwan won't stop it from what it calls unifying the self-ruled island. In a statement, China's Taiwan Affairs Office accused the U.S. of turning Taiwan into an ammunition depot. The U.S. military aid package will, for the first time, allow weapons to be drawn straight from American stockpiles and sent to Taiwan, which China sees, of course, as a breakaway province and has never ruled out taking the island by force. Now, Taiwan held annual military drills this week to prepare for an attack. China sending warplanes near the island in kind of a response, but tensions running high, Lindsay, just as the New York Times reports that U.S. officials are now investigating whether China installed malware that could disrupt American military operations. Lindsay?
All right, Britt, thank you.
With new cyber concerns and the already tense relationship between the United States and China. U.S. officials telling the New York Times that the White House is worried hackers working for the Chinese could have embedded malware in U.S. systems, allowing the Chinese to disrupt U.S. military operations. Scripps News national correspondent John Moan joins us live now from Jericho, Vermont, outside a National Guard installation there. Good evening, John.
Yeah, good evening. You're right. Certainly the worries are now at military installations all over the country, like the one you see behind me. Increasing tensions between our nation and China, two superpowers increasingly at loggerheads on issues of national security and trade.
The Biden administration says it's hunting for destructive computer code or malware it believes China has hidden deep inside networks controlling power grids, according to the New York Times. The discovery raises suspicions that hackers acting on behalf of the People's Liberation Army have embedded malware designed to disrupt U.S. military operations in the event China were to invade Taiwan.
So if it's not just localized, and if it's a deep infiltration and it's utilized in that way, you can imagine the banking system or the power grid going down nationally, or the water systems being ineffectual nationally. And that could obviously disrupt operations at home, not just for the purposes of slowing us down on response, but actually taking us out of the game altogether, unable to resupply our forces and the like.
Earlier in May, tech giant Microsoft warned that hackers likely acting on behalf of China targeted U.S. military assets on the island of Guam, seeding harmful computer code and communications infrastructure.
It was referred to as Volt Typhoon. And obviously, this raises some concerns about how deep in are the Chinese in our systems. Are they in just military systems? Are they just in that region? Is it spread more broadly across the country, other military bases overseas, or in the United States?
The news about the malware adds tension to an increasingly fraught U.S.-China relationship, with clashes that include increasing threats towards Taiwan and American efforts to ban complex semiconductor sales to China. The U.S. has also blamed China for other major infrastructure computer hacks, as well as accusing the foreign power of spying on the continental U.S. with school bus-sized balloons. For its part, China accused the U.S. of hacking into its telecoms giant, Huawei. The U.S. recently reiterated its commitment to defending Taiwan, the island nation off the coast of mainland China. Taiwan recently holding military exercises.
With respect to Taiwan, the capability that we're providing them is defensive capability. As you know, in accordance with the Taiwan Relations Act, we are committed to helping them get the capability they need to defend themselves. And so this is no change from what we've done in the past.
China regards Taiwan as a rogue province and as a constant source of tension between the U.S. and China, two nations that are trading partners and at the same time increasingly wary adversaries.
Statement, according to that same report, the Chinese embassy in Washington, D.C. flatly denied any responsibility on behalf of the government for any kind of hacking effort or any kind of sponsoring of a hacking effort in the United States. It broadly denied any of the allegations, also claiming that the United States is the far worse offender when it comes to hacking. Alexa.
Mystery company Flannery Associates buying up farmland in between San Francisco and Sacramento near Travis Air Force Base in California. Now, they have spent $800 million over the last 5 years. And now 3 sides of the base are completely controlled by Flannery, sparking national security concerns. But after months of investigations from the federal government, no one can figure out who Flannery actually is and what their intentions are with this land. News Nation's Emily Finn spoke with California Congressman John Garamendi about this, who says farmers are now being targeted in a massive lawsuit from this company. Emily.
That's right, Natasha. The more that News Nation looks into this story, the more bizarre these land acquisitions seem to be. As you just mentioned, multiple agencies, including the Air Force's Foreign Investment Risk Review Office, are currently investigating what this mystery company, Flannery Associates, intends to do with the land. They've already purchased nearly 52,000 acres. And while questions still remain, a group of farmers in the area are now facing a $510 million lawsuit from Flannery, something Congressman Garamendi says could bankrupt the farmers.
Why? Why would somebody spend 5 to 10 times more than the normal price?
Congressman John Garamendi has questions for Flannery Associates' $800 million in land acquisition surrounding Travis Air Force Base, saying these purchases just don't add up. Garamendi says he's been in contact with the families of farmers who sold their land to Flannery and claim that they didn't want to sell to begin with, but Flannery made them an offer they couldn't refuse. Mystery company Flannery Associates agreed to pay well above the market value of the land. But now Flannery is suing those families for $510 million, accusing them of conspiring together to inflate the value of the land, saying, quote, "This is a simple case about a group of wealthy landowners who saw an opportunity to conspire, collude, price fix, and illegally overcharge Flannery."
It is a suit designed to force the farmers to lawyer up, spend tens of thousands of dollars on lawyering, and maybe at the end of the day, bankrupt themselves.
Companies with ties to China have been ramping up efforts to buy American farmland in recent years, and Garamendi says there is valid concerns that Flannery's land acquisitions could be tied to our foreign rivals.
The fact that they chose to buy all 3 sides of the Travis Air Force Base raises immediate questions about national security. So is this Chinese money? We don't know. But we do know that the Chinese money was being used in North Dakota, and we have a very deep suspicion, given the amount of money, given the lack of attention to values, that they simply want to acquire all of this land.
News Nation investigated a now thwarted deal with a Chinese-owned company in Grand Forks, North Dakota. Last year, 300 acres of farmland were purchased near the Grand Forks Air Force Base by Chinese-owned Fufeng, a deal raising red flags about potential spying. After pushback from the local community, the city council ultimately voted to end the project, citing national security concerns. Garamendi says the local community near Travis Air Force Base is riled up, just like the residents in Grand Forks, due to how critical this area is for the U.S. military.
Travis Air Force Base is absolutely essential. It is the gateway to the Pacific. A good deal of the munitions that are going to Ukraine also pass through Travis Air Force Base.
So let's put this all into perspective here, Natasha. China has been buying up American farmland for years, and the USDA reports nearly 384,000 acres of agricultural land in the U.S. is already controlled by the Chinese. And the rate at which they're purchasing this land is rising exponentially. Over the past 5 years, Chinese ownership of American farmland has increased 55%. And when we map out exactly where this land is located, almost 3/4 are here in the South. About 16% of these Chinese-owned farms are on the West Coast, and that's where the nearly $1 billion of land acquisitions from Flannery Associates is located. Many questions are still remaining about who is behind Flannery Associates and their intentions with this land, Natasha.
It is